you a woman in medicine feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from the personal fulfillment that you desire? You're in the right place. Join Doctors Joanne and Aaron as they rewrite the rules for women in medicine. Let's begin.
Welcome to another episode of Create Meaning in Medicine. Today, Aaron and I have a special episode for you. We have talked in here about how Aaron and I met. And I know it sounds very romantic. We met at a personal development conference with Brendan Bouchard. So you've probably heard us talk about him. And for those of you who don't know him, he is one of the big names in the world of personal development. And both Aaron and I follow him. We've been in his groups for many, many years. And a lot of the things that we share with you all here come from some of the things that we've learned in his conferences, in his books, his podcasts, all the things. So we are focused on that continuous growth and learning, and then even better, how we can bring this back to you and why is it important for the women in medicine. So we were at a conference in Miami just recently. So I had the pleasure of seeing my beautiful friend Erin in person and squeeze her and give her hugs and kisses. And I was saying, where's my Erin? I need to go hug her again. And so we wanted to share because we learn so much in these conferences, and we need to bring more of this into the culture of medicine. So we wanted to share some of our ahas with you all. Erin, would you like to say something before we start?
Yes. So, yes, we hug each other in person, and it's with my permission. For those of you going, what? Yeah, we're both huggers, and there's such positive energy in these conferences. They're almost addictive, hopefully in a good way, because it brings people whose energy is a match for ours, or an energy that raises ours. And so Joanne and I have chosen to be a part of this community and continue to be part of this community because we find that it gives us not only great information, but also amazing energy and community. And so, we've met other individuals who we've had as guests on the show through this, and more to come. And just really being intentional about not only what we're learning, but who we're learning it with, which makes it even better. And I love that Joanne and I were talking about one of our big takeaways from this 2-day conference. All day, like we don't end until 7:00 at night, intense learning from amazing experts. And wanted to pull out of this, the biggest takeaway is all around this little word called conviction. And Joanne, I want to hear from your perspective about the word conviction. How do you define it?
Yes, and I love words, and I love making sure that we are using the right words that drive the thoughts, the energy, the emotions that really serve us. So I'm always thinking about what word really moves us. And when he said conviction, I was like, oh my goodness, what a powerful word. And one of the things that he did was exactly what Aaron just asked me, like, how do you define? And I wrote a bunch of words. And I wrote belief, determination, commitment, action, and faith, amongst other words. And that's how I am defining conviction, which I believe it's so powerful because it feels like that. It feels like a combination, because I love words that bring emotion, that drive us. I love the word commitment. I love the word determination. But conviction seems like it wraps it all up together with also the belief that you can. Like there's something that you want so much, and you believe in that thing and yourself enough that you say, I am going to do it. No matter what, I have full conviction. I am going to move forward. And I don't know, it's like, I almost like feel the word in movement. I get very passionate about this. How about you, Erin?
Well, I have been looking for my word for 2024. My word for 2025, where we're at now. My word for 2024 was consistency. And when I went from the word of consistency, which is also something I needed, but conviction was just like consistency on steroids. It was on fire. And I just felt it. And so after he brought that up, I have my notebook from the conference. And for those of you who can see this on YouTube, I have in pink at the front of my notebook my name, but also the word conviction right there in pink letters. And I said, I found my word for 2025 in conviction. And what I wrote down about conviction is it means to be so critical, it must happen no matter what. That it is integral to success, and it has to do with tenacity and even obsession. And I love what Joanne said about the energy that word brings. And it's like, what does that feel like in your body was one of the questions. And to me, it just makes me inspired, hopeful, and like just bumps my energy up by 3 times just saying that word conviction. I love it so much. And with that, Joanne, I'm wondering, with the power of the word conviction, we took a ton of notes on this 2-day conference. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what's the thing that you are so convicted that you're going to do or change as a result of that conference?
Yeah, that is the question, right? Because we get so inspired. And that's actually was one of the messages, saying a side note that's helpful, that we take this information and we get inspired, we get fired up, and we don't always take action. So this is the perfect question because, yes, you love this word. What does it mean to you? So that's a good question for you listening. With what define conviction for yourself, and then let's answer this question of what are you like? Can you say convicted? No, that's a different meaning. What do you have conviction for? Let's talking about words. Let's use it correctly. And I am very, very passionate about this work that we are doing, that Erin and I doing together, and building this podcast, and not just the podcast, but building the community around it and all the things that we can do to serve and bring back all the people that we're bringing in. So that's very strong conviction of all the things that we want to build from here. And then tied up to that, it's also my coaching. I have people who say, you're already a doctor. Why are you doing all this talking and the coaching? And it's because I feel that conviction that there's just so much that I can do one-on-one in my office as a psychiatrist. Even though I love it, I believe that there's so much more that we can do. And part of why Erin and I are here, to bring back all this knowledge, to really bring this tools of personal development to medicine. And this is part of how we're trying to change the culture and rewrite the rules. So I have a very, very strong conviction there. And I feel it as I'm saying it, I'm feeling it in my body. So it's like, that's kind of that faith of moving forward, even though I don't know the outcome. How much uncertainty can you tolerate? And when you have that conviction, you'll take action no matter what. So I get a little philosophical there. How about you? Erin, I want to hear yours.
One of the big highlights I had in my notebook was busy does not equal effective. And I want to amplify that message because according to Brendan, he says it's easy to get rid of busyness. You just need to be bold. And I want to carry that message not only in my own life, because I can be really busy at times, but also carry that message forward to the women I coach, because I am also convicted like Joanne, where we need to infuse hope and help women in medicine realize that there may be some things out of their control, but we do have control over some things. I'm convicted to remove dread from women practicing medicine and find ways to infuse joy. And if I can help them find ways to remove some of that busy work so that they can focus on the meaningful work, it's just so powerful. And I know this morning I was just coaching one of my clients, and I was so excited about helping her flip her perspective from something that could be seen as a negative, a complaint, to what an exciting opportunity you have to flip the script and turn this into such a powerful moment for you as a leader and also for all of those involved. Instead of going, oh my gosh, what just happened here? And saying, no, actually, this is an exciting moment for you to really come through and shine. And that's not busy work. Like, don't let the busy work get in the front of this really important work, helping with patient quality care, leadership in medicine, and showing that the way you're doing it is different, not normal. And you can't have the capacity to find the unique ways of thinking and get creative about finding new ways of doing medicine because the old ways aren't working without getting rid of some of that busy work and putting the important stressors on what's really important.
I was in the room and I felt those words harsh, like, yikes, busy doesn't mean effective. And I call that healthy denials because as women in medicine, we're rarely just wasting time doing things that don't matter. And if you watch Netflix and things like that, that's okay. We're not saying that any of those things are a bad thing, but we tend to be busy with other things. We have a hard time saying no and setting boundaries. So we end up saying yes to things we shouldn't be saying yes to. Then there's the kid stuff, the house stuff. We've talked about how it's hard to ask for help. So we stay busy. There are real reasons why we're tired and exhausted and we have problems sleeping. This is why we've been bringing the sleep experts. And we sometimes get confused because we are in movement, we are taking action, but yet we're not getting the results that we want. And it is because we are not always doing what we need to be doing, what we are uniquely equipped to do in our magic, and what will help you to move forward in the ways that you want to move forward. And I know that as women in medicine, a lot of us work at institutions and our schedules are full, and you might be, that doesn't apply to me. I cannot control my time. But I would challenge that thought of what are you doing in between the patients? What are you doing after hours? What are you doing on the weekends? And are you doing things that are really aligned with your priorities now? And pay attention to those things that you are doing that are good, but could just be healthy denials, like I call it, because they might be keeping you from doing what you really need to be doing, that maybe there's an internal obstacle about it. Maybe it's causing a little bit of anxiety and overwhelm. What's getting in your way? So think about it. And it hit me because, right, like Erin asked me about my conviction. I've also been thinking about that. Like, what are the things that I can peel off of my plate so I can see better, so I can have more clarity of what's important and what I need to focus on.
And Joanne, we were talking earlier. What's an example, a specific example of something that commonly gets in the way of a woman physician making a change?
What a good question. And I've been thinking. I'm thinking of someone that I'm seeing in coaching, and she's wanting to start her practice. And they offered her this new position at work that requires a lot of work. And then because she's starting it, they're giving her now all of a sudden so many things to do. Like, oh, you're focused on this, then you should be the person in charge of that. And you call this person and you set up this meeting. And then she's also feeling a little bit of that self-doubt. So she's saying yes to more things because she might not have the full confidence to be saying no just yet. And then also overstudying, getting overly prepared, getting into that perfectionism that we get stuck in so often. And those are details that it's not that we're going to minimize them, but might not be necessary when you need to focus on what is it that I really want to do to focus on that new practice I want to do. And then with her, because they gave her this new position, how can she align it with what she wants to do? outside of this position, right? So it's because it's not always easy to just say no to all the things. I understand. But how can you, and I like that word alignment, I use it a lot because it's important to have that clarity of the things that you want aligned with your actions so that you have that inner feeling that you're in a good place rather than that dissonance of what our actions don't necessarily match what's important. And so that's a good example. Also, it could be as simple as, and I and not I'll share one of mine. Like when I have something that's important for me to do, but I'm a little bit anxious or overwhelmed, all of a sudden I want to clean a closet. Like it's it's important. I do need to clean a closet, but do I need to do it in that moment when what's important it's me taking that action that might be making me feel a little stressed out? Does that answer the question, Erin?
Absolutely. And sometimes we step into roles. You made me think of a couple different ideas. We step into roles. And I remember listening to a podcast by a mutual friend of ours where she was talking about financial issues, being a woman in medicine versus a man in medicine. And that two colleagues who worked at the same organization had an $80,000 difference in their salary, even though they had the same exact position. And the feedback from HR had been, well, he asked and you didn't. And one of the topics I talked to a client about earlier this week, because of her conviction, because we've been working together for almost 2 years now, and she's learned to stand up for herself. Now she's not only standing up for herself to get what she wants, to make pivots that are going to be more in alignment with what she wants for her career in medicine. She's now advocating not only for herself, but for her team and saying, she's hearing them all talk. So you might be in a conversation where people are complaining or saying, well, this doesn't seem fair. This is not working. She took action, took the collective agreement on what should or shouldn't happen, and had the courage. She was convicted that I think this is the right thing to share. And you know what? She not only got things to change for herself, she got things to change for her entire team because she was convicted that it's the right thing to speak up. And if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to. And I was so proud of the choices she's making. She didn't just say, well, I guess this is the way it is. I can't make a difference. Nope, she was convicted. I can make a difference, not only for me but for my team. And oh my gosh, it just makes me so proud of her for being able to stand behind that conviction.
That's so neat. I love that. And we need more stories like this because sometimes we have that learned helplessness when we've heard no so many times, we stop trying. And the conviction will get us back on track, will get us fired up, will connect you to your why and that emotion that will fuel your actions even when it is difficult. So that's a beautiful example. And those are some of the steps of the that we learned this weekend too, that it's worth reviewing, of getting very clear, not just of what you want, but what you do not want. What are some non-negotiables for you? What are things that you're going to protect that are important, and what things are you going to start saying no to? The second one is of, like we were talking before, the commitment to action. So we can reverse engineer it and then say, what's the next best step? Even if it's small, and be consistent, right? Like I love that word too, Erin, the consistency. And third, what Erin and I have been talking about, which is so important, community. Gather the people around you that will really feel that energy, will support you either by having conviction with you, they can cheer you on, they might be a resource, they might help. You might be able to delegate more. And so that way you stay focused on what you really want to do. And those are the ingredients, it sounds like, in what we learned this week. And it makes so much sense to keep the conviction because there will be times when the self-doubt will kick in. There's going to be times when your speed will slow down and you might start losing that momentum and the motivation. And then we reconnect to that clarity, to the why, to the people, to the small actions, and have that forward movement that we're all wanting and needing, really.
Love that. And I would just love for you, our listener, to really think about, have you lost your conviction? What can you get some conviction behind in order to some fuel to your tank, to add some excitement, whether that's at work or at home? And we would love to hear back from you about that. Maybe if you have something new you want to be really excited about, you can leave it in the comments in the podcast. Come to our website, Create Meaning in Medicine, and leave us a comment. Get connected with us. And we want you to be fired up. We want to build a community where you are going to have that energy. And if you can't find it, you have a community to lean on. We are so excited to have you along this journey with us. And we're going to have more about how you can fuel your conviction for your future success in medicine. And we can't wait to see you in the next episode.
Do you want exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with us? Then visit createmeaninginmedicine.com now, where you'll dive deeper into how you can create meaning in medicine. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Connect with us on the website and tune in to the next episode.